Yeah, make sure you turn on the recording after you start.
There we go. There should be recording now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I'll just start. Let's see. I'll start in a couple of minutes just to give students time to get here.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll just start in probably about 1 minute, just to give folks time to enter the meeting. Okay, we can go ahead and get started and then people trickle in as they come. So thank you everyone for joining tonight. I'm Miss Clarice and we're going to continue the college essay workshop tonight with the leadership and community contribution essay types. So tonight we're going to go through first, just kind of some background on these types of essays and how to approach them, since it'll be important to understand the context of the applications. We're going to look at that first, then how to discuss your activities in these essays. And then we're going to go specifically into the leadership essays and examples and the community contribution essays and examples, and then we'll have time for questions. But along the way, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat, but otherwise I'll just keep going through. So first, we're going to think about essays in the context of the application, because it's important to think about the application on the whole. So what you're building to present to the colleges and specifically to the admissions officers, and thinking about how essays factor into this overall process. So thinking, if we're going to zoom out really big, there's the application pool. So top colleges receive tens of thousands of applications each year. So this past cycle that just ended, Yale received 57,000 applications. Brown received about 49,000 applications, and Duke received about 48,000. So that's a lot of seats, or a lot of applications for not a lot of seats in the university. So admissions officers have to be really strategic about what they're looking for in the applications, and they're looking for applicants that stand out from the pool. So they're bringing something distinct. And the essays are a great way for the admissions officers to understand what you're bringing to the campus. So thinking about the content of a college application. So if you think of it like you're building a sandwich, there's many different types of sandwiches, as you can see on the screen. And with these different types of sandwiches, they represent the different aspects of yourself and how you're translating that into an application. Of course, you can't have or it's hard to have like an entire chicken breast on a type of sandwich, but maybe you can have some slices of chicken. So you're bringing in parts of yourself to the application that you're building. So thinking about the different pieces of the sandwich that you're building, you're putting in your academics, which is your testing and your transcript, your honors and activities lists, your essays, and for the Common App and Coalition, that would be your personal statement and supplements. And then for UC, that's your personal insight questions. You have recommendation letters, except for UC. You have interviews where applicable. And then you have an optional art, music, and or research supplement. So this is a lot of information that the college is getting about you. But if you think about it in the context of you as an entire person, it's not that much. And the essays are really a big cornerstone of the application. And thinking about the sandwich metaphor, we want to be strategic in terms of making sure you don't have 4 slices of bread so that you're not using too much of one aspect, saying only talking about your accolades or your awards, where you could be bringing in more depth. And we're going to look at that today. But the reason I'm showing the sandwich analogy and the content of the application is so you can think about the bigger picture. So they're already going to have your extracurriculars and honors lists. So you don't necessarily need to repeat that information in your essays. Rather, your essays are going to go more in depth, as we'll look at. So essays add voice to the application. As you can see, admissions officers have a lot of information about you. The essays add your particular voice to the application. So 2 applicants can have similar grades, testing, activities, and interests, but they can have very different voices. And this makes an important difference between those 2 applicants. And statistically, it's likely that you'll have 2 applicants who are similar, but what's, at least in terms of their statistics, but what's really going to set them apart is their voices. And this is an area that you can control. And thinking on that idea of control, so the admissions office process involves conversation about your candidacy. So whether you're a good fit for the college, what you would bring to the school, things like that. So you can't control what your recommenders write, but hopefully they write good things. But you can control what you put in your essay and direct that aspect of the conversation about your application when the admissions committee or the admissions officers are reviewing your application. So you can at least steer it a little bit based on what you include in your essays. And thinking about this idea a bit more, the average person says 125 to 150 words per minute in English. So you can convert the word count to speaking time. So if you have a 650 word essay, that's speaking for about 4.5 to 5 minutes. If you have a 350 word UC essay, that's speaking for about 2.5 minutes. So you want to think as you're approaching these essays, what would you say to someone who already has information about your academics, your awards, and your extracurriculars? And this person may also hear about you from your recommenders. So thinking back to the sandwich, you wouldn't necessarily repeat having another slice of bread, maybe unless you're making a Big Mac, if you already have 2 slices of bread, because you only have so much sandwich real estate, so to speak. So if they already know about the basics of your extracurriculars, you want to bring in more depth that they don't otherwise know. And then thinking about character in admissions. So many colleges are now focusing on character in the admissions process. So essentially, who are you as a person? Who are you as an applicant? And the leadership and community contribution essays reveal an important aspect of your character. So, how you have helped your community, how you lead others, what motivates you to lead, what motivates you to help others. And that can be very revealing of what makes you you, what drives you, what you're passionate about. So, a central question that colleges think about, and therefore you want to think about in your essays, is who are you now and who will you be on the college campus? So, this is a guiding question that you can use in approaching and planning your essays with your essay teacher. So now that we have that foundation of thinking about the essays and your application in general, now we're going to zoom in a little bit more and thinking about how to discuss your activities. So, considering the overall application context, how should you write about your activities? So, thinking about what the colleges already know about your activities in particular. So they have your honors and awards list, and this includes your grade level when you got the award and the level of award. So that's school, local, state/regional, national, and international. So they already know the context of your award. And then for the Common App, you get to have 100 up to 100 characters describing the title of the award and a little parenthetical description.